Hello and welcome as we continue to update the progress on our project plan. So we say the first method of recording actuals is to simply indicate that on this particular date all the activities have happened according to schedule. So what we want to do is to update progress for this first week from the 12th up to the 16th. So that's the Monday to the Friday. So it has got two tasks: drawing of the plan and buying of materials. So what we do is we go to project, because we want to update the status of the project as a whole. We go to the project tab, and then under the status group we select update project. Now the first checkbox says update work as complete through which date. So we select the date which we want, which is the 16th of October. I want you to notice the color scheme on these bars. So in other words, we are now saying up to the 16th of October, everything has happened according to plan. So we click OK. And you can now see that it is updated with a blue progress bar in the center of your Gantt bar. So because the progress is 100%, that progress bar is from start to end. So this is the simplest way of updating, but it's only provided that the work has gone according to schedule. But if, for example, a task is only 10% complete, 15, 20, and so forth, you can also quickly update its progress by selecting that task. So let's select the next task, which is for digging of foundations. And because now we want to deal with a single task, we go to the task bar, and then under the schedule you have got these progress percentages up here. This first one says 0%, next one 25%, third one 50%. So let's click on the 50% complete, and then also notice the progress bar inside this Gantt bar, 50%. And now you have a progress bar which goes up to halfway. Now in order for us to double check this data in a different view, we can go, say, to the view tab, and then we go to the task views. Let's go to other views and select the task sheet. So the task sheet is now showing us the costs per task. If you look at the drawing of the plan and buying of materials, the total cost is 16,100 and 4,700. The baseline is the same, the variance is 0, and then the actual cost for the drawing of the plan is 16, and the actual cost for buying of materials is 1,200. So the buying of the material has got a balance of 3,500. This is because when we set the percentage complete, it only updates the work resources that depend on the number of hours that have been worked. But on this buying of materials, we had two components. We had the cost of the buyer and the cost of the transportation. So because the transportation is a cost resource, it cannot be automatically updated. We need to enter it manually. In other words, we need to update manually things like transportation, entertainment, and so forth, because their values depend on where we get that service. They cannot be determined by simply saying 50% complete. So that's why for this particular task, there is still an amount of 3,500, which has not yet been recorded on the actuals. All right, let us go back to our Gantt chart view. So I've shown you two ways now of updating the plan. The first one was to simply record progress through a particular date to say everything has gone according to plan. Then secondly, I took you to the task where we simply clicked on 50%, and then we set the progress to 50%. But what you can also do is you can put your cursor inside the Gantt chart bar here, and you can drag this progress bar, and you can see it's indicating the days. So if I leave it, say, at 23rd of 10, that is the last day, it makes it 100% complete. So meaning that if we were to go back to the chart, the task sheet, it will now indicate that this task is now 100% because it was at 50%. So you can leave the progress bar anywhere, literally. So if I leave it on the 22nd, it means that we have gone for 4 days actual duration, and there is 1 day remaining duration, which means that this task is now about 80% complete. So if we go to the view and then other views and task sheet, and we look for that task for the digging of the foundation, you will see that the baseline and the total cost is 10,000, and then the actual is now at 8,000. Why? Because we have used 4 out of 5 days. So there's still 1 more day remaining, which is worth 2,000. So that is how the system updates these tables, even when we use the mouse to drag the progress bar. We also talked about entering actual values or simply typing in the percentage. Let's take the same dig foundation task, but this time let's go to the task tab, and then we go to the schedule. But under the schedule, we do not click these percentages. We go where it says mark on track, and then we click on this down arrow and then select update tasks. So when you select update tasks, it now brings this update tasks dialog, and it is showing now that percent complete is 80% because the actual duration is 4 days, because I've dragged it until the day just before the last one. So the remaining duration is now 1 day. So this is the place where you can type in either percent complete, or you can type in the duration that has been elapsed in number of days. So let's say, for example, I type in 1 day on the actual duration. What happens is if I enter one of these, it will recalculate the percentage. But if I'd entered the percentage, it will recalculate the actual and the remaining duration. So let's see what happens if I update the actual as 1 and we say OK. So you can see that you do not see immediately the changes because it only saves as you are closing. But if we go back to the task and then on the schedule, mark on track and then update task. Now you can see it has now updated the rest of the fields. So I entered 1 day on the actual and it sees that now as 20% because 1 day out of 5 is 20%. And then the remaining duration, it now calculates it at 4 days. So these are the different ways in which we can update the actual progress on each task. So what we are going to be doing is we are going to be recording progress, but on an experimental basis. You have already seen what I've done, so I'd like you to play around. You can use the first method of recording just progress by a particular date. You can go to the task and just click on 25%, 50%, or you can drag the progress bar inside the Gantt bar, or you can come here to the update tasks dialog box where you can either enter a percentage or you can enter the actual number of days that have been utilized on a particular task. I need to show you one more method for entering the percentage of completion on a task. On your Gantt chart view, if you open up the tables portion, you can see that my last column says add new column. If I click on the drop down button, there are a lot of options for additional columns which I can show on my table. So I want to show percentage complete. So if I click on there, you can see already that the items that have been completed are at 100%. Some are at 99%, 20%, that dig foundation. So you can update that percentage completion straight into this column. So this one, which is 80%, which is 20%, we can change it to 100%. And you can see immediately it changes here. Let me take it back to 20 and you will see that this progress bar retracts to 20%. Right. And if you put it back to 100, so some methods are easier than others. So you can see that just typing in the percentage complete here, it's easy, but as you saw also, just going to the task and saying 25% or 50%, that's also easy. So you can use whichever method you think is best at that particular time. Earlier on, I indicated that I was going to show you where we update the actual cost for our cost resources, such as the transportation, entertainment allowance, and so forth. This is because the material resources as well as the work resources are automatically updated the moment we indicate progress on the work. So the system automatically assumes, because these resources work on a pro rata basis, if we are at 50%, it assumes we have used 50% of the materials, and if we are at 100%, it assumes we have used 100% of the materials. But it has no way of guessing things like transportation. So we need a view that can show us the resources which are being used per task. So that view is the task usage view. So we go to view and we look for task usage view, and then in the task usage view, this is where we can now look for that activity, that task, which is the buying of materials and transportation. It's showing us the actual so far is 0 and the balance is 3,500. So you can now update with the actual expenditure. So we can now update the actual and put it to 3,500. So you can see that now it updates the balance to 0. So the summary task, which is the planning and material purchase, is now also complete. It doesn't have any balance anymore, because remember we were saying that in this view all these individual items, they are rolled up to the summary task. So just for interest's sake, if we put this back to 0, you can see that that balance of 3,500 is going up and is being reflected even on the summary task. So we can put it back to 3,500, and now it shows that this task is complete because we now have taken care of all the expenses, all the costs on that particular task. So if there are other places where we are having these cost resources, we can also update them. So on this project, this was the only cost resource that we entered. So basically there will not be any other place where we will need to come and update the cost manually. I would like you to practice as much as possible using the different methods that I've shown you for entering progress on your project plan. So when you send me your files, I would like to see some progress. You don't have to update the whole project plan. You can leave some of the items pending so that we can at least have some work still in progress. Okay, I'm going to see you in the next module where we are going to discuss reports.